it did turn into a tactical race, especially up the hill, because I would have been the one to take the pace going up the first half, and I didn't. I gambled on being able to stay with Bill on the downhills because they're not precipitously downhill. They roll, so I don't think Bill really had a chance to get moving the way he can. So I was lucky, and when I surged twice. I surged once by coming across the corner of Wickham and Wisner, right in front of the high school, and I got about 10 yards on him. Then he got it back, but he didn't come back that strong. So then at the top of the hill, heading down, I decided to surge again because I knew if I could have a little lead when I hit the flat. I guess I only had about, 10 yards turning the corner, but I knew if I had even that, psychologically, it'd be tough for him to come back on me because I was determined to run. Actually, the race ended at that corner when we turned downhill into the fairgrounds, so I knew if I reached there first, even as good a downhill runner as he is, he would have had to go pretty fast to catch me. Middletown is where I'm from. Both my families originated here. I have ancestors here, even back to the Orange Dutch, which a lot of you probably don't even know about. But so I did want to do well, and they were talking about making it an annual event, and it would be awfully nice if they did, but maybe let me choose the opposition next time.
So I think I came into the race not feeling as gung-ho as I normally do, you know. So Frank and I just went steady, 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 you know. And then we began to throw short surges and stuff, you know.
We heard the whole race back here at the fairgrounds, those of us that couldn't be in a lead car and watch the course. And Frank apparently threw in 3 surges. Did you find those testing?
Well, he threw in 1 or 2 there. At one point he broke away, you know. And I said, well, I wasn't going to go, you know. I decided I just figured, well, I'll go and cruise in for second place, you know.
If you come back, we will be elated because I'm sure that the rivalry will continue. You're both going to be competitors for a long time.
I think that's one of the main things that I think both of us have tried to, you know, point out and everything, and that's great about the sport, and that the running boom is an example of it. You know, all ages and every city or community can have a race and make it a pretty big event, you know. So I think it's a fantastic race. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The race is kind of tough, though.
Well, if you keep that up, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead and not come back. I would like to thank everyone. I was sort of hoping when I was invited, I think you should all know the story about my being invited to this race. It was back, I think, in January or February, and the people at the Times Herald Record contacted me, and I said, hey, I remember that paper. And they said, that was the paper that was tabloids back when only things like the National Enquirer were tabloids. And but they've changed. I guess the thinking of a lot of people. It's a very good paper, and they said, would you like to come back to our race? And I kind of hemmed and hawed because I wasn't in very good shape and I wasn't really running too well. And I finally said, sure, I guess I'll come back. And then I got a call, and John called me up and said, oh, I think we better tell you something now that you've accepted that. In the interim, we didn't hear from you for so long. We went and we invited Bill Rodgers, and I hope you don't mind. And I said, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, well, of course I mind, but what can I say? And so I guess it's just a reflection. Middletown must be the kind of town when you come back to do something, they certainly don't set it up for you. The way it's been done, it reminded me of when I was running in Italy about 5 or 6 years ago, at the last point where I was really running well and running consistently well. And I was winning some races in Italy, and I got invited back to run a series of road races with 2 other Italian runners who were very good runners. One fellow was named Franco Fava, and we went to his hometown, and they kind of came up to me before the race, and they said, well, you know, this is Italy and how it's done, and we'd sort of appreciate it, you know, if you'd help Franco a little bit here since it's his hometown. And so I lost a 100-yard lead in the last half mile, and Franco won the race. And I'm just hoping if Bill did the same thing, he won't tell me until I'm about 65. You know, let me savor it for a while. Don't delude me. But I would like to thank Bill for coming. It wasn't his kind of day, obviously, and I keep telling him that don't worry, one of these days we'll run when it's 38 degrees and raining, and then he can then he can get me back. So I would like to thank everybody for bringing my whole family back. We got to come back and see all the relatives. Again, like I said, with the media onslaught, local media onslaught of pressure and all my relatives showing up, this is about the most pressure I'm going to have all year. So I'm very relieved that things went well. And I'm glad you all came, and I hope the United Way makes a lot of money. Again, little did I think when I was here on the Midway here being fleeced by all the carnies 20 years ago, did I think I'd ever come back? Did I think I'd ever come back here and be in a race? But it was fun, and I would, again, like to thank the organizers. I thought it was very well put on. The course itself went, surprisingly, in a lot of the areas of town where I used to run when I was younger. I didn't run very much or very hard. I think I had an advantage now that you get older, but it is good to be home because Middletown is my home. Both sides of my family grew up here. Both my parents grew up here, and I have grandparents that go back even long before any of us were around. So it was good to come home, and now I hope I can come home next year, but I can't promise that I'll win if I come back next year, but I've won once, so hopefully that'll be enough. Thank you.